What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats? I don't know, whoever's watching, right? Uh, I'm Knight. If you don't know, if you've watched us before, fantastic. Thank you for coming back. If you haven't, I'm Knight. This crazy, no, wait, this way, this direction, right over here. This crazy fool over here, this is Psych Ward. He's our least favorite Coast Guard.
That's
Sitting
right.
right there. Yeah,
The only unicorn of the bunch.
yeah, unicorn. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen, from his lips to God's ears. All right. So, anywhoots, so tonight, we're going to talk about a few things, gaming and talk some veteran stuff. And if I can convince Heather to jump in, we're going to do that too. And then
Did
we're
you
going
get
to
a
talk.
high and tight?
No. I did my Viking haircut.
Oh.
Yeah, see, it's all woo. It's pulled back.
Oh.
And then we're going to talk about the election that happened this week. And I know, and Psych Ward said it. He's like, don't people want to come here and get away from that stuff? And I get it. I do. But it's important, and it should be important. Like, it's an important thing. I get it. But still, we're going to talk about it anyways, because it's a hot topic, right? I wish Scott was here for that. Back myself up. All right.
Why do I have a feeling you have a whole closet full of hot topic stuff? Just nobody knows about it.
Only the pleather stuff.
Yeah.
You just don't know it.
The stuff that squeaks when you wear it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yep, it's a thing. I mean, the thongs fit so nicely though.
Pleather thongs. That does not sound comfortable.
Oh, all right. So, anywho's, so let's talk some gaming though, really quick, and then and don't mind the dog if you can even hear her right now. She's in the other room. We had to lock her up because she's cray right now. So, anywho's, yeah, let's talk gaming. Let's talk some D&D.
Cool.
Yeah.
We one of the campaigns that I'm in, we've been like slowly transitioning over to the new 2024 rules. There's been some hiccups along the way. Nothing major, just like it's more D&D Beyond hiccups than it is the rule set hiccups of like trying to get the character to actually like transfer over without having to rebuild a whole new character.
Right.
And what we found is like if you leave Legacy turned on, then it allows you the option to just like not select it in the character sheet.
Uh-huh.
But if you turn off Legacy completely, it literally just eliminates options. So like I'm running a paladin and I was 3rd level, but I'm like 1 level warlock, 2 levels paladin, and so I hadn't gotten my subclass yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we switched over to the 2024 rules, and I went to do my subclass because we gained another level, and it wouldn't show Oath of Vengeance, which is an actual like it's not even third party. It's actually out of the 2024, out of both handbooks,
Right.
the players' handbooks, but it wouldn't even show it as an option. And so I ended up just easy for me, anyways. It was easier because I can build the characters pretty fast, just to go back and like rebuild the character without the legacy on stuff on and just build it straight from like 2024 rules. But what we found was I went back into the old character sheet and I reselected the legacy items instead of turning them off.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives me the option of, do you want to use 2014 Oath of Vengeance or do you want to use 2024 Oath of Vengeance? So it was there after I turned it back on. So there's these like weird glitches that like if you like, why would I ever think that turning off legacy would not allow me to pick a 2024 option? You know what I mean? Like, you'd think it would just automatically like select whatever's 2024 from that point. So anyways, there's something weird in the background with the coding that's making it happen that way, which is fine. And now we know that. And it was honestly, it was easier just to go back and rebuild the character. But instead of having to go through and like make sure that the one I selected wasn't 2014 and all that stuff, because they are much different. Even like the ASMR, because I'm running an ASMR, and with the ASMRs in the 2014, you would choose like, do you want like the radiance where like, you know, the radiant light comes out of your eyes and your mouth and all that stuff and like, you know, does damage, or do you want the one that has like wings, or do you want the one that does like the necrotic cloud type damage or whatever, right? You had to choose one, and that was what you were stuck with. Well, now every time you choose the ability, the I'm blanking on what it's called, but in the actual character, it's one of your abilities that you choose to use like at every long rest. Now, whenever you choose to
Like
use,
a feature.
yeah, it's like a feature, but it's actually it's specifically called. I have it up here. Let me grab it just so I'm not jumping over it. It is called
Or is it a racial bonus?
uh it's a racial, well, it's a species bonus now because they don't
Or
use it anymore.
yeah,
But
yeah,
um
because they're all DEI and stuff.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Celestial Revelation is what it's called. And
Yeah.
so every long rest you can use this once, right? The Celestial Revelation. It used to
Right.
be you had to choose one. Well, now you can pick every time you use it. Like, do you want to sprout wings? Do you want inner radiance, or do you want a necrotic shroud?
Right.
So like you can actually make that decision now, whereas before you're stuck with your options. So it's nice to have that opening. One of the others that was open too is they changed the path of the for barbarians, because we have a barbarian that's running our group. They changed it from the path of the what was the one with the path of the totem warrior is
Yeah.
now like path of the wild heart. And every time you rage, you can choose which animal you want to rage into. So you're not stuck with bear or wolf or eagle like you used to be with Path of the Totem.
Right.
So anyways, that it's interesting that they gave those options now, so you don't feel so like pigeonholed. You have a lot more options. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so
I
that's
can
one
see
thing
that.
we learned from it. One of the other cool things that came up that we're doing is you know, I'm big into like the supplemental materials and all that stuff, and there is a supplemental material that's made by the dungeon coach, which also makes, you know, DC-20 and all that stuff. But he has one that's called the downtime handbook, Adventures Between Adventures, and it's one of the Patreon materials that he wrote. I don't know when, but it's been a while now that it's been out. But it's for 5e, and it gives you a lot of like different, from kind of start to finish, of what you can do in downtime and how to implement it. And like I think there's a big struggle that people have with downtime, and even DMs too, because then they have to try to come up with like, well, how am I going to fit downtime in? It makes sense that there's downtime because there's no way the characters are going to be like adventuring 24/7 all the time, right? Like
Right.
there's going to be like times where you're in a city or you're in a town for a week or whatever it is, or you're in between adventures for a month. Sometimes, you know, like it may be one session, like, or in between sessions that's happening, right? But like in game though, you're actually like having these times. So anyways, one of the features that he has in this book is the ability to train and learn a feat, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of cool, right? So like you can train and you can learn different skills. You can train and learn different, like how to use different tools and all that stuff. But one of them that was really cool was this ability to be able to train and learn a feat. But it's not. It sounds like, oh well, that sounds broken, right? Like when you
Right.
think about it. But it requires to learn a feat. there's a couple of things with it. If the feat normally has an ability score improver that goes with it, it automatic. Hold on. It automatically doesn't allow you to use that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do choose to use it, if the DM says it's fine, you can gain an ability with it because it really makes sense with that feat specifically. Then you have to lengthen the duration of it. So if you want to learn a feat, it takes 90 in-game days, and it costs 50 gold pieces per day. So you're
Wow.
talking 5,000 gold pieces or 4,500 gold pieces to learn a feat. And if you want the one with the ability, it's 110 days. So now you're looking at what, 5,500? So 5,500 gold pieces.
Yeah, that's not cheap.
So it makes it to where it's not an easy thing to gain. Like you really have to work for it, right?
Right.
One of the things that we're doing in our game to make it a little bit more interesting is not only do you have to state how many days it's going to take you, but he's giving like a certain threshold of an amount of points you have to get, and you can only earn like so many points per day or per week. I think he's going off the week because it makes it a little bit easier.
Right.
So what he's saying is like, okay, if you want to earn an ability score improvement, it is going to cost you 200 points. And you get those points by being able to roll a d20 every week. And so whatever your d20 roll is, that's the amount of points you get. So it can take a while to like build those points up in order to get to that level, that threshold. Sometimes that's good, sometimes bad. We haven't decided if that's exactly how we want to do it yet. I personally like the gold feature of it. Like you have a specified amount of days that you'll learn it, so you aren't like short changing yourself on like if you just get bad rolls all the time, it takes you forever, right?
Right.
But if you don't have an extra, 2,000 gold that week or whatever, then guess what? You're not like gaining anything. You know what I mean? Because you don't have it. You can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
you have to go out and adventure and get that gold and all that stuff, and you have to decide like, do I want to spend that gold on armor, or is that ability like score improver really that important to me, um, or the feat, right? So there's this like weighing of options, and it makes sense. He was saying like if you want to improve your strength score, your ability score on your strength side, then during your week or whatever, you're like constantly working on like strength improvements. You're going and like working out with a trainer or whatever it is, like you're doing things to improve your strength. And so if you can put two and two together and make it sound reasonable, and then he gives you a certain amount of days or thresholds to do it and a cost that goes with it for the training, then it makes sense, right? Like,
Right.
so like for charisma on my paladin, I'm trying to increase my charisma because I had like bad rolls when I first started my character, and so I have low ability score points. And so he allowed me to go to the library and find like a book on uh, how to discuss uh, what was it? It was like leading discussions in noble talks, right? And like that's the book that I picked up from the library or whatever. And so now my character is going to read it, and then when we get to the other end, I have to like host some form of like an actual like discussion or whatever, and then I'll be able to get points from doing that, right? And then those points will earn into like, okay, that was part of your training that you had to do. But on top of that too, in order for me to host that, I'm gonna have to pay gold to like get the space and to get like all, and so that's where the gold comes into play. Like,
Right.
so in order for me to get that training, or in order for me to gain the ability score portion of it, I'll have to like pay for the party and all that stuff to get people to come to it and everything else, right? And then actually like do it, and then I'll have to roll to see like how well did it go. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and dexterity is like the same way, right? Like you'll train for it. Or wisdom. Wisdom would be more along lines of like if you do something that you would normally gain like inspiration for. If you get an inspiration point, well then can you use that inspiration point to say, well, I learned something in that moment that like taught me how to think differently and like make a different decision. And so now I can take that and I can like go back and teach somebody else that or whatever. So I'm like learning it even more because I'm teaching how it happened. And then on top of that, you're paying something out as well to like, have it taken down in a book or whatever that is, right? So anyways, so it's an interesting take on it. It's still a little bit rough around the edges on like what he wants to do. The one out of the book is well written, and I like the way that it's put together. So anyways, and he's got it broken down in this book as far as like you have different training periods. So you have some that are like short-term training periods, which is like you can work and gain stuff within a day. And he's got other downtime stuff that is like, a week long or a month long, or some of these are even like 6 months to a year long, like depending on what your character is trying to learn, right? So, anyways, I thought it was an interesting take.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no,
What's your thoughts as a DM?
I mean, from what I'm hearing, I mean, it sounds like he's actually. I think he's hearing out what you and probably the other players are saying, and trying to uh, implement a little bit of everything that somebody's talking about.
Well,
Which
so
and
like
it sounds good. It sounds fantastic, honestly.
the problem right now is like if that wasn't the case, if that wasn't something that we could do, because it's obviously homebrewed, right?
Hmm.
If we were following the straight rules out of the book,
Right,
it just feels bad when you get to like level 4 because
right,
you only get so many levels. And you get to level 4 and you're like, okay, I get to either choose my feat or take an ability score. And I rolled really terribly for this character.
right,
So I'm either going to do crap for damage or spells or whatever that I'm doing, right? Or I choose a feat. And now I have to pick between the two.
right.
And it just feels bad. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't feel fun. Like it's no longer fun. It's an option you have to choose, and like neither one of them are it's not a win-win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
and I mean, honestly, like I think what he's probably doing is actually it helps
so
everybody really.
he told me he got the inspiration from reading this because, of course, you know me. Like I've shared like all 500 supplemental materials I have or whatever they are, like with this DM. And I was like, here you
Yeah,
go. Here's some light reading. Like,
yeah, yeah. Like all 250 books, like
yeah, yeah. Some
it,
of them are pretty dense too. Like the reading, there's a lot
yeah.
to some of them. So,
There's a
anyways,
there's a
um,
lot.
but anyhow,
Even
we're
I'm sitting
using.
over here, like some of the stuff you sent me. I'm going, good God, like that's a lot of. You have to remember this stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, if you index it right and you have it up like in a folder someplace and it's
Yeah,
easy
I
to
mean,
find, like,
I guess if you're the DMing right, and you've got your
mhm.
DM screen, because I'm guessing you guys either you play in person or you play over
we're
online,
we're
right?
doing it on. Oh yeah, we're doing it on. This is the one that he's a fairly new DM,
Oh,
and
okay,
I was like, here's all these books, and like here's all my books, and here's all
yeah.
my D&D books, and here's Foundry, and like
So
because he was originally going to do like Theater of the Mind and all that stuff, and like
right,
I threw all this stuff at him, and so he's been trying to learn on the go, whatever, which is good.
yeah.
But
This is the same one that said that. Oh, I've got the player's handbook.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
He actually played in one of your one shots.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
one that I played Timmy on.
Oh, okay. All
Remember?
right. Yep,
Yeah, he
yep.
was in
I
that. Yeah.
remember.
So,
So
um,
yeah, no, yeah, I think that that's good then that he is taking the initiative to like learn it.
yeah.
There's a lot to being a DM. So one of the things, if I was to give him a pro tip on it, like if he's going to implement a lot of that stuff, make sure that he keeps DM rules
Hmm.
like within eye shot. Whenever he's doing this, like he doesn't have to keep
So,
it on there 24/7, but at least keep it within eye shot.
so what I've told him to do, and this is just from my experience, is like, and even when I'm playing, I normally do this. Not everybody has multiple screens. Just
Yeah,
from the work that I do, I have like 3 screens or whatever, and so So I've
like
always got
3
like
screens, your laptop and an iPad all sitting there.
yeah,
Yes.
and the
Ridic
satellite screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have another screen on the side. So anyways, um, but
You ever wanna talk about a guy that goes above and beyond, this is the guy right here, alright? Thank the Coast Guard for this.
um, but part of it too is like the work that I do because I have to like I'm dealing in a lot of spreadsheets and stuff, but I have to be able to see like other materials and stuff I'm working on too. So I do the same thing in D&D is like when I'm running my character, I've got multiple screens open because I'm looking at all these different rule sets and I'm like looking at like what can I do next? Like, like what advantages can I take here like in these situations and like what would my character do like based off of this? Because I'm constantly looking at like what is like
Yeah, what would
because
Jesus do?
well, because I'm playing like a lawful good paladin. You know what I mean? Like which is
Right.
completely different from a lot of the other characters that I've played, which are like barely like just outside of being evil. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
in some circumstances.
yeah, yeah, Timmy was definitely one of those with the
Timmy was
whole, like,
awesome, man.
like, that yeah, it's like,
His
okay.
detachable hand.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
uh, but then, like, the way, and then if he, like, talked a
because
certain
his
way.
body didn't move, but his head
Yeah,
would like swivel backwards
yeah,
and look at
yeah,
people
oh
and stuff.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was but then, like, you talk about, like, the deep voice versus, like, his normal voice,
Oh yeah,
like,
because it
talking at
because
the
it was
same
like
time.
reverberating and it was all
He
like talking at the
oh,
same time
yeah,
in different not
in
only
different
was it in
tones.
different tones, but it was also in different languages too.
Yes.
And yeah, so
And the whole thing was just, oh, it
uh I think I said it best, but it would be like if and I always forget her name. The girl from um what's the Halloween Christmas one with Jack Sparrow or whatever.
Jack Sparrow?
Not Jack Sparrow. I'm sorry. With
I was like, "Wait, what?
Not Sparrow.
Jack Skellin?"
Jack
Ske
Skellin. Yeah.
Yep,
What is it? Nightmare Before Christmas.
yep,
What's the girl off of that? Uh,
Sally?
Sally.
Yep,
So it was like if the clown from It and Sally had a baby.
yeah,
Like that was
yep,
Timmy. Yeah. So,
yep,
anyways, um, so but yeah. So going back to this, I've told him like if you can have multiple screens or be able to flip to the other screen, that you're still on, like the one screen that you have, but have it open in because they're all PDFs, right? So have it
right,
open like in a PDF so you can flip to it and just remember. And what I do also is I keep like a lot of sticky notes,
mhm,
and so I'll have like page whatever like that I want to reference or be able to get to quickly.
yep,
Um, but but anyways, so yeah, it's definitely like it makes your character feel more empowered. Like there's things that you can do to increase your ability scores and all that stuff with you. You're not stuck with it.
right.
We're also doing that unbounded proficiency where it
Oh,
gives
nice.
you like a +2 to your or plus whatever your proficiency bonus is goes towards your AC uh and your uh ability checks like your wisdom saves and all that stuff.
Right,
So any of your saves, it adds a +2 to your saves as well.
that's awesome.
So anyways, yeah, but the new character to talk about that, I guess a little bit too. So his name is Belisar, and he comes from House of Divinius. Um, and the idea is like they were like at one point in time their family lineage comes from like divine angels, basically, right? It's because
Right,
they're ASMRs or whatever. But they worship uh, Bahamut, and Bahamut actually like visit like he's been training his entire life. He's royal, right? So he's from
uh-huh,
royalty, um, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. Like if he goes into like a bar or whatever, or like regular tavern or whatever, like he like has his assistant like wipe the bar down and stuff before he sits down, like things like that. It's like he's got this like chip on his shoulder, right?
This is
And
the same one that you played on my
yeah,
on the one shot.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
remember that
yeah.
one? Yeah,
Yes.
except he's gotten even worse. Yeah.
Oh God.
So anyways,
Totally
uh,
posh. If you know what
yeah,
posh is.
completely posh. Yeah,
Yeah.
But the thing is, he doesn't know it because it's the way he was raised.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's just all he knows,
Yeah.
and he was raised to be like royal and posh like that because he comes from like literally a lineage of like of kings and queens and stuff.
Right.
Um, and so, anyways, he uh, he actually got offered a drink in a tavern once, and to try not to hurt the other person's feelings, he like poured the drink out on the side and like acted like he drank it because it wasn't up to his standards, like the alcohol that they gave him. Yeah. So,
Nice.
um, and he carries like his own alcohol in those circumstances so he can drink.
Wow.
But yeah, so he's very above and beyond.
Yeah.
But um, but anyways, and then when he goes to worship, uh, so he was visited by Bahamut. Bahamut chose him. There's this whole other in that specific campaign. Um, we had to do a one shot of something that happened like 10 years as a prequel to what this normal campaign is that we're in now, and we had to basically build like our complete polar opposites.
Uh-huh.
And so I ran an Oathbreaker paladin that like was running around with a hammer that's called, I think it's called a Hellfire hammer or whatever, and when you hit something with it and you kill it, the soul actually gets sucked out and put into the River Styx and they become a lemur. And so so anyways, like complete like polar opposites, right? And
Right.
so he's actually a fallen angel of Bahamut. And so that's what Belisar is like eventually supposed to do, is like to hunt this guy down
Oh,
and
nice.
eventually like end this guy's life. But he it plays into the DM storyline because these two characters are now like under this evil uh and we don't know the whole storyline yet, but underneath this like evil queen or whatever, um 10 years prior to like all this stuff that happened. So anyways, so eventually there's going to be a showdown between like these two like polar opposite paladins.
Just,
So
this is going to be interesting, to say the least.
but anyways, so and then one of the other cool things that he does is like when he prays to Bahamut to show that wealth or to show that gold isn't more important than like worshiping like this divine god. He goes in and like he uses a coin and he has to make the coin like into its raw form, and so he'll throw it on top of these like altars and like beat the crap out of it with a hammer in the middle of like the church. Like turn it back into like raw gold basically, and then
Right.
it gets absorbed into the stone basically, and it goes back to like Bahamut. That's the idea, right? And so when he was doing this, he's like, I got a horrible roll, and which means I had to like beat the crap out of it like longer than normal, and so I ended up like splitting this like marble altar, like so, so anyways,
That yeah.
so yeah, it's been fun. Like, but you know me, like I always find like these weird people are like, oh, how do you play these like characters that are so crazy? It's because I like play into the character, you know, like I make him do all these crazy things that like I think about it. I really put a lot of thought into like what are they gonna do next, and so now he has this like uh platinum dragon claw that's the size of a human hand, and it's like bejeweled and all that stuff, and it was sent to him because the house of Divinius was getting all these like complaints about like altars getting broken and stuff in these like churches, and so they're stop doing the gold thing, like just set the gold inside this hand and it'll get absorbed into the hand. You don't have to beat it anymore, like you don't have to, yeah, like so now he walks around with this like huge like platinum, like with these big jewels and stuff all over it, right? So like again, going back to like he walks in like sets this thing down. Like the claw's probably worth more than the church that he's in. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways,
That's
yeah,
work.
but so, yeah, no, but that's one of the things that's been fun too. The two guys that are playing with this. So Mondo is in that group as well, which you've played with Mondo before.
Yep. Yep.
And then we have another guy that has known Mondo for a while, and they've been picking up on what I do with my characters, and so they're starting to really like get into their characters too, which
Like
is fun to
character
watch.
development and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's you can tell that they're putting a little bit more time and effort. The
Right.
thing that kills me the most is when you're at a table and the person shows up and then like they're playing their character and they have no idea like who their character is, what they should be doing, like how they should play it. Like they haven't spent any time on it whatsoever. They're just
Right.
there. And it's like, come on, like put a little bit of effort, like and
Yep.
I'm the complete opposite, right? Like I'm spending like literally spending like an hour a day or whatever, like or 30 minutes a day, just looking into like what am I going to do next and how do I build this character out differently, like to make it very like personal and you know
Bullshit. You can build a character in 20 minutes and still play it the exact same way. I, I, yeah.
I've got
I
a
don't even want
creative
to hear it.
mindset.
Yeah, I don't even want to hear it.
Timmy was built on the fly.
Yeah. Timmy
Yeah,
was definitely one
Timmy
of
was
them.
Timmy was built on the fly, but it comes from years of doing it.
Right.
That's the only reason that I'm good at it. You know what I mean? Like because I've been doing it for so long, I can throw something together and be like, okay, if I put myself that's the first thing I do is like if I put myself in this character's shoes, how do I make it different than
Right.
like anybody else's character? And like, okay, I've got this like wooden boy that I can play or whatever, right? From like one of the species you can choose from.
Mhm.
Well, how do I make that not Pinocchio? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and so I'm thinking of like, okay, what's the different things I can do with this, and like, how did he become? And so like, I gave the whole backstory that he was put in place of a baby by a hag because that's how they come. Like originally they look like real children, and then over time they like eventually look like this wooden boy. And the parents don't know it until obviously like it's been a while since the hag's taken the baby, right? So the baby's
Right.
obviously like gone, right? So anyways, um but yeah, like again though, like most people don't take the time to like read into like the species and understand like how was it created and why and like how do you play that into the background. And
Right.
so in the 20 minutes that I created like Timmy or whatever, I was like flying through like looking at stories and stuff of like what makes him like unique.
Right.
But anyways, um but a lot of it comes from like this supplemental stuff too, which is why I love it so much.
Yeah.
I read a lot of it. Like I've probably read 90% of what I've given to you
Uh-huh.
already, which is a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot of material.
that
So
is a lot. And well, and you are like the human encyclopedia for anything D&D. So there's
I just
that.
retain stuff. Like I've always been good
Yeah,
at retaining stuff. So
yeah, you
um,
retain quite a bit. And it's like if anybody ever has questions for Psych Ward,
I
you can always ask him, and he could probably tell you exactly what page it is, what line, and everything.
don't know about
So,
that, but
but, I
maybe.
mean, yeah, pretty close.
Maybe.
Anyway, yeah, he'll at least be able to give you
I
at
won't know
least
the
a
font that
paragraph.
it's written in.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but he'll be able to give you information if you guys ask him questions. Um, but yeah, no,
So what's
that
your thoughts on the downtime thing? Because that's always kind of a controversial thing of like whether or not you're going to do downtime. And I know it's talked about a lot in like session zeros. I had a DM that completely avoided downtime before. Like,
Yep, and I think that's your player base. So your player
Mhm.
base really is going to determine how much downtime do you want to have? Do you really want to go into that in depth, stuff like that? And I think that another thing that you got to keep in mind though is it does it fit into your storyline? Because yes, so downtime. I mean, there's no way. Like, if you think about it in real life, there's no way that your character's just going to be constantly going, and
No,
going.
you're gonna have downtime. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and so, and if it's a character that is, or if it's a DM that is taking away the realistic, um, the realism out of it, if he's sucking the realism out of it, and he's just going, of course, I'm sure as players you might say, "Hey, when do we have downtime to do this?" Or then the DM's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, well you can have like you have 2 days to do this or whatnot."
Yep.
I mean, I've known players that and DMs that have actually done that, where like the DM is constant go until a player says, "Hey, when we have downtime, I want to do this," and the DM just a roll of a six-sided dice. Okay, you have 2 days, and that.
And some of that, I think, and this comes back to, I don't know how much of it we want to divulge, but the whole start playing thing that I was talking about, and like how like it's very like DM sided,
Yep.
and I feel like D&D can be that way as well. Like the players have to rely on whether or not the DM is going to give them what they
Eh,
want.
yeah.
And there are a lot of lazy DMs,
Oh, yes, most
and
definitely.
and I feel like if it was more if there were more DMs that did real session zeros that asked what do you truly want and then built their campaign around what that player wanted, you would have a lot
Mhm.
more of this kind of stuff in it.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Because I think there's
And
a lot of DMs that purposely skip it because they don't want to put in the time and effort.
yeah. Well, that and I mean, like you said, they're lazy. So, I mean, there's that. It all goes back to how much. Yeah, I think you said it right. It just goes into how much time you want to put into it. So, I mean, for me, I like the realism. I like adding in all of those little finite details.
Well,
And
and we talked, what was it, last week or the week before about the bastion system, whatever, and like some of this plays into that because you can have training periods at the bastion too, and it gives you like advantage on some of that. Like it speeds up the training time
right,
because now you have like somebody there that can be doing a lot of research for you while you're away, and then you come back, it's kind of all like gathered for you.
right,
Um,
exactly,
but uh, but yeah, so like in here he talks about like training and sparring, and it's got stuff in here that talks about like challenges that you can run into, like critical failures and failures that happen, and like costly things and like actual successes and critical successes and all that stuff and how to tweak some of this stuff and you have everything from like committing petty theft and crime to like gambling to things that take like a weekend long instead of a day or a week long instead of a weekend and again going all the way into like weeks and months just depending
right.
on what it is. So anyways,
Yeah, no, I mean, it all really is I think it's I think it's a mix of both the players and the DMs need of communication. I think that's what it really boils down to.
yeah, because sometimes it's nice to like, okay, I found all this stuff in a dungeon, but like maybe it's not the stuff that I want.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And like so now like okay, I'm gonna go sell all this stuff that we
Right,
found and now I've got 6,000 gold pieces. Like, okay, now what do I do with 6,000 gold pieces? Like,
right.
like it's just sitting there.
Yep,
And so then you're like, okay, well, I can craft what I want. Or I can find somebody that can craft it for me, but you have to go find like the specific materials or whatever for it, right?
yep,
And so then you can go study, and now you've got like a side quest, right? That you can do or whatever, or the DM can put together something else, or and some DMs like that because they're purposely working on like the deep dive of the actual storyline, and they're like, oh yeah, this is perfect. Like this gives me another like week to work on stuff, like
right.
let's do this side quest that you want to do because you can write it up in like a day, right? Like
Yep,
um, he or she can write it up in a day, and it's like, well, that makes sense. But anyways, Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm very hooked on this stuff. I think everybody knows that, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, you definitely you enjoy that, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And like I said, I even like the realism of it. Um, but yeah, let's move on to something real quick. So I got a question for you. How far have you gotten into Baldur's Gate 3?
I stopped playing. Gosh, I haven't played in like 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, just because we had a ton of stuff that happened at work or whatever that's been super busy. So I just haven't. My problem is, uh, I can easily get like sucked into those games,
Yeah.
and then I have to really watch like how much time am I spending on doing that kind of stuff, and instead of being like productive, right?
Right.
And so like I know I've been pushing you a little bit even like recently or whatever, because I've been pushing myself recently of like, man, like we've had this site up for like 3 months now and like nothing's been done yet. Like it's starting to like really like I'm mad at myself that it's not done. You know what I mean?
Right.
So anyways, so I kind of like took a step back and looked at like what am I doing? And like should I be spending time here or whatever? And
Uh,
so I purposely like cut it out for right now. So
oh, okay. Okay.
yeah.
What so what was the last thing you left off on?
I think I went completely down a path in Baldur's Gate 3 that I don't think I was supposed to go down yet. So like in Baldur's Gate 3 and hopefully like I guess for everybody listening or whatever, if you haven't played this might like be spoilers or
Spoiler
whatever.
alert.
So yeah,
Spoiler
right.
alert.
like close your ears, whatever it is, or like
Yeah.
fast forward, don't listen to this part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um and I'll be vague anyways, because like I think people that are playing would have played it would know what I'm talking about. So I made my way to the Goblin camp,
Uh-huh.
right? So the encampment where they were all at, they had like
Yep.
taken it over,
Yep.
and I haven't even like rescued all the druids and stuff yet.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so I never did all that, and I ended up going underground into like that
Into the
whole like
Underdark.
underdark thing, and I
Yeah.
did that whole thing, and came back up, and I'm just now like rescuing the druids.
Oh,
So I did everything I could do until the point where it tells you when you go up to the elevator, and it's like if you progress past here, you can't go back.
yeah.
Like, and so I was like, okay, well, I guess I shouldn't go any further because I think there's stuff I haven't done yet. So I completely like went
So you like
against like I went left instead of right or whatever and never went back. so,
so you already fought against the Dreadmore and all that?
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did all that, and like I found all like the only thing I haven't done is gone to that like tower or whatever. That's like the next thing I'm supposed to do. But now I'm like I have to go back and like free these druids or whatever, which is a lot easier
It,
because like I'm a higher level now, right? And
yeah.
like it's a little easier to do all
But
that stuff. But
it is, but it's not still at the same time. So
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
it
So uh so like I had to go back too because uh I completed a lot of stuff down there before like I went back to the what are they called mycads or myads or what are they, the mushroom people,
the mushrooms. Yeah.
and he tells you he wants his head or whatever,
Yep.
and so I had already killed him, but then I had to go down and like find his head. Like luckily it was still there, his body didn't disappear or whatever, so I was able to like get his head or whatever. Like I even fought that robot thing already, like where you make your armor or whatever. Like I did all that
Yep.
stuff already before I have even like
Uh,
finished doing all the other stuff. So anyway, so I'm running around in this like crazy armor and all this other stuff now up
Nice.
topside. Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, you might have made things a little bit easier for yourself, but once you step outside, though, it's a completely different story.
and
So,
the vampire guy like made one too many passes at me or whatever, so I've like turned him off.
uh, see, my problem is Shadowheart. She's like in love with my character,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
so is what's her name? The uh the Dothraki? Dothraki? Is that right?
I know
Think-
what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's the it's not Dothraki is Game of Thrones.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but anyways, yeah, you're
Yeah,
talking about the Githrakis.
Githraki.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. And
Um,
yeah. No, she's in love with me though too. Like she flat out told me if I wasn't in love with Shadowheart, that she would have slept with me. And I was like, whoa.
Little
Like,
Ford.
yeah. I was like, okay, all right, little green girl, like slow
I
your
th-
roll.
I think that I'm supposed to have like the what are the species that look like devils?
Oh yeah, no, you haven't found her yet?
I killed him.
It's a her.
I killed her and her brother
Oh really?
early on. Yeah,
Oh
at the
shit.
cage where they had her in the cage.
No, they didn't have her in a cage. She was sitting down by a river.
So when I found her, she's in a cage.
No. That's when you found the Gothraki girl.
No,
They
I,
had
I
her in a
found
cage.
I found her on the ship.
You find her on the ship, but then you get separated when you wake
Yeah,
up.
you get separated, and then the next time I found her, she's in a cage.
Yeah, that's the Gothraki girl. But there's
And
a devil girl too.
yeah, but
That
they were
that
there. Her and her brother were there at the cage.
nope. That's a different one.
Oh, they're different? Okay, so I
Yes.
guess I haven't found her then.
Oh
Because
yeah.
because I've seen like people talk about like playing with that character with her, and I was like, I
Yeah,
think I killed it.
yeah. No, she's a barbarian and she's a badass.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
did find the barbarian. I did
yeah,
find the barbarian. So maybe yeah, I guess I did find that character later on because that's the one that like catches the barn on fire or whatever when you help her go up and fight the paladins or whatever they are that have
yeah.
taken her stuff,
Yep,
and then
yep,
she gets mad and like rages and like catches everything on fire.
yep.
Yeah,
Did you have the sword guy also?
the sword guy.
Yeah, he was. I can't remember his name, but they call him like the Sword of Light or something like that. Or
Oh, the warlock guy.
yep.
I turned him into a fighter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, I think that's what he is. Well,
I
no, the
took
guard.
away
The,
I took away his warlocks. The guy with one eye or whatever, like his one eye is
yep,
messed up. Yeah.
yep.
So I paid the 200 gold or whatever, and he's no longer a warlock.
Ah, okay,
He's a
okay.
fighter now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
mean that makes sense.
um,
Yeah, no,
but
because the devil comes up and like tells him, and like he grows horns and everything because that he's technically a demon killer.
yeah,
He's a demon hunter essentially, but he's a
yeah.
warlock. And so the devil comes up, or like one of the devil's right hands, I guess you could call her, comes up and is like, "You were supposed to be killing the barbarian girl, and you didn't do that. So
So
punishment."
I'm at a point now where like I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm at a point now where like they're having that like he's warned me that like I shouldn't be working with her or whatever. Like that's where I am right now. Like
Yeah, yep. He
yeah, he's
does
not
that.
happy about it. So
Well, and then like if you can actually calm their nerves, whenever they meet at the camp together for the
yeah,
first time, if you can actually persuade them to calm down, both of them, um, then he will tell you straight up the devil's going to come and want to know like what's going on.
yeah.
And so because he was told to go hunt her and kill her.
Mm.
And like lo and behold, not much longer after that, shit fucking went down, and here comes the fucking devil. And it's talking like, "Oh, you
The
didn't do what you're supposed to do."
the other thing that I was playing it and I was like, well, it's a fun game, but you know how much I do like I'm always throwing wrenches and stuff. Like I enjoy
Yeah,
doing that. Like and so I enjoy coming up with like new ideas and what can my character do differently and like, I mean For instance, the last time I think we played one of the characters, I was like, "What's laying in the forest?" And you're like, "What are you talking
Yeah.
about?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Is there anything in the forest?" And you're like, "No." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing dead laying around in the forest. There's no like branches or nothing." And you're like, "Well, it depends. What do you want?"
Yeah. Right.
It's like, well, and so you eventually said trees or whatever. I was like, okay, and so I made the trees come to life and like beat the crap out of your thing, out of your people.
Yeah. The ghost.
Yeah, so
Hey,
anyways, um, you can't do that in the video games. You know what I mean? Like you can't
yeah.
come up with those like weird, like off the wall, and that's what's so fun about tabletop gaming, right? Is like
Right.
it's such an open like sandbox of what you can do.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
It's true.
so anyways, that's the other thing too. I was playing it, and I just feel very like people talk about it in tabletop gaming, and they talk about DMs that do it to people, and like uh, video games make me feel very railroaded.
Yeah. No. And there are
Because
DMs that actually do railroad too.
and so that's the one thing I don't like about it because I really enjoy tabletop gaming because it's just the way my mind works, you know. And I like to think about like what can I do differently or like how can I challenge this situation, you know.
Right.
Um, so uh, yeah. But anyways,
Yeah. No. So that was that game. Freaking
what
love
do
it.
you what do you ask though?
Oh, I was just curious because I was actually going to talk about another game though too. That actually just came out. Well, two of them technically. Um, one of them though being, because I'm a BattleTech guy, right?
Hmm.
Love BattleTech. So Mech Warrior 5 just came out. But well, it didn't just come out. Mech Warrior 5 has been out for a little bit, but Mech Warrior 5 Clans just came out. Just got released just last month.
Hmm.
Oh my god. I freaking love it.
Do they have
Um,
a tabletop version?
but BattleTech, yeah,
Hmm.
BattleTech.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and so I I love it. I am a clanner like through and through. And so it if anybody watches this, I mean only one person's watching right now. So whoever it is, hi. Um but if you watch this in the future, okay, I'm a clanner through and through. If you like the inner sphere, shame on you. So no, honestly, it's the it was everything that I was hoping it would be, but I wish it was a little more open. Um, and honestly, it felt really short. I
Mm.
mean, I loved it. Like I loved every freaking bit of it, but and it says in but when you reach the end, it actually says, "Don't worry, there's more to come." Like there's
So
going
you
to
just
be more.
haven't finished the game yet?
No, I they finished the game, but I'm guessing there's going to be like DLC later.
Mm,
So,
got
like, I mean, yeah, they got to get their micromanaging or micro payments in there, So they got to get that shit in there. Uh, which I hate. I hate that game companies are doing this now, but at the same time, I get it. Like they want to continue to make their money.
Yeah, I mean, there's no different. Like we deal with it in
With
D&D too, right? I
yeah,
mean, because they just release different books, and they're like, "Oh, you want a new species? Well, you got to buy this whole book now." Because they don't even let
yeah,
you. They don't even let you buy like the. It used to be you could actually buy like a subclass, or you could
right,
buy a like magic item if you wanted to, and like you can't do that anymore. You got to buy the whole book now.
yeah, yeah. So
So
I mean, I'm by no means am I gonna like get mad and say I'm not playing this no more. No, no. Like I get it. I understand why they do it, but at the same time, like it's annoying.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, no, it was it was fantastic to play through. A phenomenal. Uh, what they did with Clan Jaguar and stuff like that. Like I loved it. They had a couple twists and turns in there that was fantastic too. The whoever did the uh the art and stuff like that for the gameplay,
Hmm.
dude, they need props. Like, I don't think they got paid enough. Like, it was phenomenal. So yeah, there was that. If any at any time, if you guys ever want to play it, it is co-op game. Just saying. I'm a
Okay.
hell of a I'm a hell of a dire wolf and uh uh mad cat, timber wolf, whatever you want to call it. If you're an Intersphere, you're gonna call it a mad cat. If you're a planner, you're gonna call it a timber wolf. But I'm a dire will and uh uh timber wolf pilot. I can handle that. So yeah, freaking phenomenal game though. Yeah, but then there's another one that came out recently, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for not thinking about getting that one. But it Dragon Age just came out with another game
Mm,
that picks up where the last one left off,
okay.
which, if I remember correctly, I think was like 10 years ago, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit longer.
I know Guild Wars 2 just came out with their expansion like a
Yeah,
month ago.
yeah.
And
Guild
Guild Wars
Wars
2
is
has been out for a long time.
yeah. That's another one. And but yeah, Dragon Age just came out with another.
My my buddy that has I've got a buddy that introduced me to online gaming like quite a while ago, but he's been playing since like what was it? The original like Elder Scroll or whatever, like 99 or whatever it was, like 1999. He's been playing
Uh,
for a long time. Like, and he's at a guild that's like online or whatever. So he's got this guild that's like been nonstop for at least 24 years,
oh
and
wow,
and he's got, I don't know, 600 members, right, at all times. Like, people come and go, but he's always got 600-700 members. Like, and they're playing. Was it Throne and Liberty or Liberty and Throne or something? Have you heard of that game? It's a
yeah,
free to play.
yep.
Um, but anyways, and his client, like his guild is so big that they had to like start 4 different guilds in the
Oh,
game because like there's a cap on the amount of people you can have in a guild or whatever, and
right,
so, so they have like 4 different guilds running, but they're all actually the same guild.
nice.
So they'll go out and do PvP or whatever, and what they'll do is they'll like structure it in, and people don't know like these are all the same guild or whatever, and so they'll like flank people. They'll do like all these because they'll bring like everybody, and so you'll have like, I think the cap is 100 or whatever. So you'll get like 300 to 400 people that will show up and like just annihilate like a PvP zone.
Wow.
So
What?
anyways,
That's
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
That's awesome.
they've actually like broken servers before in the past, because they've had like so many people on. Like when there was a game that was called Pirates of the Burning Sea that came out in like 2007,
Yeah, actually,
2008, something like that, and you could like create your own like sails and all that stuff, and you could
yep,
choose if you wanted to be like on the British side or if you wanted to be like a what was that called, the freelancers that would go around, where they called the anyways, you could choose like where you wanted to play, or you could be a pirate, and
right,
like the pirates are always hunted or whatever.
yep,
And so we all decided to become pirates or whatever, and it just like on our server, and it was just this like massive amount of pirates running around, and like
yep,
nobody could control it, and so we were taking over all these ports and stuff, and like, yeah, and we actually the first week that they launched or whatever, because we all decided we are gonna play it, and so we all got on, and we're playing it, like we like shut the server down like 3 or 4 times in a row because there's just too many people on it.
right,
Yeah, it was funny. Like at that point in time, he had like 800 to 900 people
yeah,
that were around. Like because it was just big back at that point in time, like just the gaming in general. But the most I think he's ever had was 1,200
oh
guild
wow,
members, which is
jeez,
huge. So,
good
but
lord,
yeah, he's got multiple like people that run the different games and all that stuff, like that are like officers, that like help run the guild or whatever.
yep,
But anyhow, he introduced me to like the online gaming stuff, and that's when I found out like I have to be careful because I get sucked into these games. Like they're very addictive. One was like New World.
Uh-huh.
Um, when I
Yep.
left, so I was still working for Amazon when it came out. So I got to play it when it was in like before it was even released as alpha because it was built by Amazon. And
Yeah.
so and they actually it was really cool because like they would inside the elevators at work they would have like these boards that were inside the elevators, and they you could actually like they would write like when they were going to be playing, like what time and all that stuff, and so you just keep track of that and you could go log in. And then the next day people would go in and they would write in um, like if they had like broken a record, and that was like so it was all like written down inside the elevators or whatever at work. It was kind of cool. But that was when I took like time off between work. It's like because I worked at Amazon for 3 years or whatever, and it was just like good job, good pay, or whatever, but it's just a lot of work. And so I took almost a year off. It was around the time that we had all those like freezes and all that stuff, and so I took time off when they're like rebuilding the house because we had a pipe burst in the house.
Right.
So, anyways, during that time period, I played New World because it came out around the same, like it released finally, and uh, yeah, it was a fun game, but that was when again like I'd taken time off or whatever, and like I was literally like for Amazon I was working like 16 hours a day, 6 days a week on average,
Yep.
um, and then I was doing the same amount of time like playing the game. I was like, holy crap! Like when I stopped and started like looking at the amount of time I was putting into gaming and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I could be doing like much more productive things in my time. So, so that's why like I've been kicking myself in the butt lately because I want to get our stuff like rolling or whatever, and
Right.
um, it's been tough because we're consolidating executives at work right now, and
Yeah.
so I'm taking on like additional work,
Yeah.
and so
Well,
anyways.
and it's not just that though. Like like I've been going through all the shoulder and neck
Well,
and
that yeah,
everything.
that's yeah, that
Like
I
that's
mean, there's reasons behind it,
yeah.
but I just haven't been able to spend much time on it, and so like literally like yesterday, like I had to come to Jesus moment with myself, and like okay, like I gotta set like some like goals down on like when we're gonna have these things done or whatever. So that's why I don't know if you saw on our Discord, but I put in our Discord like, okay, I'm starting this, and this, and I'm gonna have it done by this time frame. Like, so I've like
Yep.
literally pushed it out there, and I was like, okay, like I got to get it done now because I've told everybody I'm gonna do it. So,
Oh wow. I didn't see that. Oh, I'm gonna have to
yeah.
check that out now.
So, because I put in there like certain things would be done by like end of day tomorrow and stuff. So,
Progress
um,
updates.
yeah. So, anyways,
Nice.
um,
Well, and not only that, but like so tomorrow, and I don't mean you talked about this before, but is the it's the veterans. What is it called? The car show. Yeah, for the Love of Veterans Auto Show,
okay,
which is tomorrow. And so if you're watching now, whoever the one person is that's watching, we're doing a car show tomorrow, and I will
probably
be
fell asleep with their phone on or something.
yeah, you know that or it's yeah. Well, it's Leo. He's just sitting there, like, just watching, stalking us.
Right.
Are you stalking us, Leo? That's probably
Yeah.
what it is. Um, so he
Don't
just
worry. We
let
only say bad stuff about you when you're here.
yeah, yeah, exactly. He just wants to look at your fluffy beard. That's what
There
it
you go.
is.
I actually
Yeah.
got a call out on it at work the other day.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I
Shit.
was at work and somebody was like, "Okay, it's like No Shave November, and I just need to call this out." And they're like, "What?" And everybody like looked at me or whatever, and the one guy was like, "Dude, your beard game is strong." And then I was like walking around the office like fluffing my beard all day. Like,
Oh man. So yeah, but there's that, and then so we're gonna be doing some veteran stuff there, and then yeah, I mean we can work on a couple things there too. But anyways, let's get back to but the other topics though. let's talk some. Should we do the hot topic for the week? The weekly
That's
drip.
up to you, man.
We could do either the weekly drip and go on about our evening, or we could talk some veteran stuff because there is some veteran stuff that is that
What's the veteran stuff? I mean, we can talk
so
about both, but what's the veteran
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. So there is something that came up recently, and a lot of people are up in arms about it. But essentially, what it is like the whole versus Wade thing.
Hmm.
Uh, so that all this happened like it's like 4 weeks ago, right? Yeah, 4 weeks ago. There was a congressional meeting with a bunch of doctors and lawyers. Oh, and my camera just went cray cray. Cray cray. Oh, there. Did it go? Kind of. Whatever. Close enough. So, anyways, so
It's trying to help out the viewers out there.
yeah,
If it's
you don't
blurry, they
want to.
don't have to see your face.
Yeah, I look better. I look better when I'm blurry. Um. So, anyways, so they were. It was about the Roe versus Wade thing, and here's the thing: there's a common misconception that in the states where abortion is illegal, right? It's not that it's illegal to have an abortion; it's that it's illegal to terminate a living child,
Hmm.
right? That, huh? Yeah, you can't have an elected abortion. If the pregnancy is going to kill you, then yes, I mean, they're going to do what they have to do to save your life, right?
Hmm.
But okay, um, you can't just like outright elect to scrape the fetus out of you, right? Okay, it's not a thing. So, um, but that's only in some states. Only some states have made it illegal. Other states have done it for like, oh, you can do it up to 20 weeks. Oh, you can do it up to
And it's like it's a state by state, right? It's not a
yeah,
federal like mandated. Yeah.
yeah. It's not federally mandated. It's run by the state.
Yeah.
Well, so there's for the veteran women out there, okay, and I know I'm not a woman, but I'm definitely with a woman, right? Like I definitely have the twig and berries, okay. So um, me and my woman, we talked about this stuff, and one of the things that we talked about is the fact that like why on in the world are we fighting about it when there's been zero doctors, okay, zero doctors, zero mothers that have been thrown in jail, incarcerated, anything like that for aborting a child to save a mother's life. Hasn't happened. Hasn't happened. Not once. Right. The veteran part of it, this though, is the military. Right. The military and the VA, they have their own guidelines. Right. So like yeah,
Well,
like
if you follow the military guidelines, you're not supposed to like you're not even supposed to like have sex unless you're trying to have a kid or whatever, and you're not supposed to do it out of certain positions, and like
yeah,
it's supposed to be
it's
very like
missionary.
yeah,
It's
like
missionary only.
if you
So
really really like
if
follow
you're
the guidelines, right? Like
yeah, if you're going at it like a dog, you're doing it illegally, all right? I'm just
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah.
And you can't do it on the countertops or the
I
table or the couch or anything like that.
I wanna be in person for that court martial. Anyways,
What that court martial though, that would be that would actually be one of the funniest fucking things to see. Like you're being court-martialed because you did it doggy style. How the fuck do you know this?
right?
You know, you
Yeah.
know, like yeah, that would be interesting. Now I could understand it though
And
if
if
you
you
got
have video of it, like I want you to show the proof of it so I can at least brag like on my like negative page 7s and everything else you're gonna give me and my title 10s and all that stuff you're gonna be like, at least then I have something to like brag about, right?
Right, right. But not only that, but like
Mm.
first off, we all right. The military has gone full blown DEI, and you got like all the guys that are like, hey, that are what platoon are we? We're that platoon, like that. Did you see that whole video? Did you see that one?
Which one?
The one where the gay guys like we're that platoon, and then they're all like they're that platoon. I was like, dude, you couldn't be more flaming if you wanted to be. Like, I'm sorry, when I was in the military, if you even remotely acted like that, they were like, we got questions.
Well,
Uh,
and they didn't care what your preferences were as long as you didn't like outright
if you
like
acted like a
show it.
girl,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If
You
you
just couldn't
acted,
show it. Like it is the whole don't ask, don't tell
don't
thing.
ask, don't
Yeah.
tell. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you outwardly put it, out there, they were like, no, like we need to sit down. We need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And that was a whole thing back in the day. Now it's just like they don't care. You take it up the poop chute. They're like, hey, come join the military. I'm like, no, no. I think you need to think about that one. You need to think
What
about that.
guideline do you have to follow for uniforms
That's a good
when you do
question.
that?
You have to make sure you have your blush and everything just right.
Yeah.
Like the
Well,
eyeliner can only go so far past the crease of your eye.
what and at what point can I say that like my beard is actually like part of my hair or whatever, and then try to follow the guidelines where you can wear it in a bun? Like yes.
Yeah, but you also have to wear the blue makeup, like the blue lipstick to go
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's an accessory. It's an accessory. So, like oh god, oh man, and then you have to make sure you have the fairy glitter like all over everywhere. All right.
Yeah.
Um, good lord. So yeah, no, that was a whole thing. Um, where was I even going with this? I don't even fucking know.
Well, you're talking about Roe versus Wade and the
Yeah,
military, so it
yeah.
must be something about
Well,
the military or the VA or something not allowing certain, like, because you said they have their own regulations.
yeah, yeah. No, they have their own stuff, right?
Hmm.
But it was piss. I don't know where I was going with this. Where was I going with this? I don't even know anymore. It doesn't even matter. It,
My
it
my so
I
I
just went total squirrel mode, dude. Like squirrel.
I didn't help with it. I I
Uh,
I was showing all the shiny stuff.
yeah.
Anyways,
Just fucking complete out there. I don't even
um,
do
I
what?
don't
Yeah, yeah, word salads.
I don't
Fucking
I don't
combo.
know uh I don't know enough about like what they're doing. All I do know is I'm
Oh,
extremely conservative when it comes to like making some of those decisions, and I
yeah.
think that if you have if you're over the age of 18 and you've decided to make the choices that you've decided to make,
Yep.
and somebody gets pregnant or whatever, guess what? There's consequences from choices you made.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
like and there you go. And
Yeah.
but um and that comes back to like the parents being part of like the person's life and all that stuff, and like teaching them not to do all this stuff ahead of time. Like there's a whole my mentality of it all is like there's a whole process that goes behind that, and a lot of people get upset about that. But you know what? Like I'm a strong believer in like the parents should be held like responsible too, because most kids aren't like grown up until like 25. Like
Yeah.
like they've gone through college, they've done all that. Like they still need a lot of guidance,
Yeah.
and when they don't have it, they do a lot of stupid stuff. And like and so And you still do stupid stuff, even when you do have the guidance.
I mean, I
But
still
like,
do stupid stuff. Like, what are we talking about here?
but but those kind of things are like life-changing decisions, right? Like
Right.
when you're doing all that stuff. So, anyways, but I'm also like super conservative when it comes to the point of like having kids and stuff, that you should be in a position where you can afford to have that kid and like give that kid the lifestyle that they should be able to have, and like be able to afford to send them to the good schools and like all it. Like that's just where my headset is. Like I don't
Right.
think you should be having kids when, and again, this is just my opinion. I don't think you should be having kids when you're like super young or whatever, and you can't like give them the opportunities that they should have. Like you should be figuring yourself in your life out first, and then
hmm
doing all this stuff. So, anyways, but
Yeah.
that's my take on it, which then goes back to the argument that's always made on the whole Roe versus Wade thing of like, yeah, like I get it for emergency situations. Like there's certain circumstances that I understand. The whole like rape thing, incest thing, like all that kind of stuff that happens and all like that all makes sense.
hmm
Like I understand why those determining factors exist, right? Or complications that like
Are
will
life
then
threatening to the mother.
are going to be life threatening, right?
Yeah.
And there's arguments behind that too, because if you look at like kings and all that stuff back in the day, or whatever, like they like chose the lineage over the
What?
wife or whatever. Um, but we're not in those time frames anymore. So yeah, no, that all makes sense to me. Is like those kind of
Right.
decisions. But anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that was another one of the topics too.
so does
Yeah.
that mean if you're in D and
Well,
D
there's some
and
states
and
that actually.
if you're in D&D, does that mean then if you like knock up your significant other in D&D, you're done adventuring? You got to create a new character.
That's what Chris just said.
Just saying,
I don't even know.
or are you gonna
No,
allow
he's talking
them
about.
to like
Does that mean in D&D, if you knock up,
magically like get rid of the baby or whatever in D&D?
you have to completely start over? Yes. Yeah. If you abort your child in D&D, you have to start over.
No, I'm saying if you knock up somebody, your significant other in D&D or whatever, now you've got like you can't adventure anymore, right? You're stuck at home taking care of a kid.
Yep. 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 So,
Unless you can take the kid on the adventures.
oh, she's. So, good Lord, this camera. Anyway, so
Just
she
saying.
yeah, right. God, good goodness. All right. So 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 what the congressional meeting was about was essentially how, like, in states like Idaho, where doctors are moving out of the state of Idaho, apparently, OBGYNs are, uh, because, quote unquote, right, they cannot, or they do not feel that they can safely perform their duties in the state of Idaho without prosecution.
Okay.
What?
Then go to all the ruined states, California, New York, and stuff. They'll take you.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, uh, I,
I don't understand why we think that it's important for us to make decisions off of a small group of people's circumstances.
right, exactly.
This
That's my
whole like, oh, this celebrity said they're gonna move if like this or that happens. It's like, okay, bye.
yeah.
Like
TYA, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
it's you're not helping the situation by saying so or whatever. And if that's the case, then like go someplace else where it's
Like,
welcomed or whatever. Like
I'm pretty sure every one of the freaking women from The View were already supposed to be gone like 8 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know what they should do is they should take their viewpoints and go preach it in like North Korea or something and see how that works for them.
Yeah, yeah, or China,
Yeah,
or
and it
or
is.
they could go to Afghanistan, Iraq.
Yeah.
You
Go
know,
go convert the Taliban.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Good luck with
give it your best shot.
that. Just saying.
Have fun. Have fun.
Those of us that have visited those countries.
Yeah, yeah. Like from take it from somebody that's been there. I've seen what they do to those women. Good luck.
Yeah.
I'm
Host that's what they should do. They should have a The View travels the world.
oh God.
That would be awesome. And like
It-
host it in different countries and stuff and see how it goes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, oh man. I can see Whoopi would be doing Sister Act the whole way fuck back over here.
Well, people like to complain about how bad it is here in the US or whatever about the issues we have and stuff.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody, and I know this is completely off topic, but I was talking to somebody the other day about our view on poverty,
Hmm.
uh, and what the United States sees as like bad situations and all this other stuff, and like poor school districts and all that, right?
Right.
Our poverty, though, is like average lifestyle in a lot of countries.
Right. Yep.
Compared to their poverty, is you're literally like building a house out of the trash that you found in the dump that you live at.
Africa,
Like,
for instance.
well, I mean, parts of Afghanistan.
Yeah. Yeah. Parts of
I mean,
Afghanistan were
there's,
like that too.
yeah, I
But
mean, I've
I
literally,
say Africa
I,
because a lot of people know Africa. Like if
right.
you, yeah,
I've literally been in a person's house that was built out of the stones off the side of the building, off the side of the mountain that was there because that was the only shelter they could make
yep,
in Afghanistan.
yep, yeah,
Like, that's living rough.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's true.
it,
It,
yeah,
it it's a way of life.
they can't, just get a handout or whatever. Like, they have to make it happen.
Yep.
Um. So, anyways, uh, it's very like, I don't know. I don't even watch this stuff anymore. Like, I won't even like I don't even I very 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 seldom watch broadcast TV anymore
Yeah.
because it just pisses me
Well,
off.
yeah.
So
No.
I just like I don't like I watch a lot of YouTube stuff on things that I want to watch.
Yep.
Like, and every now and then I'll listen to some news and stuff, and like half the news I push out anyways because I know it's all like whatever view, and it doesn't matter whether it's CNN or Fox. Like it's both way. Like
The-
there's very few journalists that are actually journalists anymore that are
I
really telling like the unbiased stories.
right. So
Um,
I agree with you on a lot of that. Here's the only thing that where I differ from is I don't really care so much about what's being said here as much as
mm,
I care about what's being said out there. You know, like if you look at every other country, what they say about America now, I mean, and this actually dips into what just recently happened this week, which was the election.
mm,
Over the past, and I'm going to actually, I'm going to say over the past 4 years, it's gotten worse. Over the past 8 years, it was talked about. Over the past 20 years, though, it was beginning. It was starting to trickle. Okay. And hell, I won't even say 20 years. I'll say 30 years. Because really, if you think about it, I mean, it happened Bill Clinton's time with Monica Lewinsky. And, that was just a laughing stock. That was a fucking joke around the world. Um,
you mean just the perception? Is that
yeah.
what you're getting at? Like the
Yeah.
perception of the United States from outside, like other countries and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the inward perception from the outside.
Mhm.
So, so the past 4 years though, we have we went from when Donald Trump was in office his first election, um, we started to become a superpower again.
Mhm.
And you know,
I think that I think, and not to interrupt you, but I think the only thing that's kept us safe at all points in times is like we've built up such a strong superpower over all the years that like
mhm.
it's almost hard for that to go. It's always there.
Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like if something crazy popped off, like it's always there. It might not be as strong, but it's
it,
there and people
yeah,
know it. And so that's why like even though the perception might be bad, nobody's ever like decided, hey, let's go land on their beach.
yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean? Like
and okay, so there's actually a reason to that, and strategically speaking, you can't attack America without us knowing in advance. And
yeah. Japan did it
even
with balloons.
yeah, yeah, I mean the Chinese war balloons. Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Japan did it too. They used
Uh,
to use the currents.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I could see that. But if you want to say a full scale invasion, it can't happen
Just
without.
put some COVID bats in balloons and
Right, right. Oh man,
just saying.
I went ham on somebody about that earlier or yesterday actually with false news Fauci, uh, or Biden fanboy Fauci if you want to call him that too. So I mean I but so my here's my thing though. Is America is strategically placed in such a way that you can't really attack us without us knowing it.
Mhm.
And then like the Japanese said, you cannot attack America without there being an American behind or a gun behind every blade of grass.
Mhm.
Meaning that uh, us as citizens,
Well, there's more guns than people.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like there really is like there's more guns than people in the United States.
yeah.
So and
So
that's the ones that everybody knows about.
and right, and let me just say this. So I'll say this just to kind of add icing to the cake. If you start in the South, you're gonna lose immediately,
Right.
like immediately.
I
It
think a lot of people downplay too, like they hear like New York or whatever, but then they forget there's like upstate New York and all. It's like
yeah,
out in the boonies, like they're
yeah,
not in the city, and like yeah, they're not gonna play around either.
yeah.
You know, like
Those Pennsylvania farm peoples.
yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it's in New Jersey too. New Jersey's the same way. Uh,
I don't and I don't care where I'm at. Like if whether it's my AR that I have or if it's a 50 caliber black rifle, you know, a black powder rifle or whatever. Like guess what? If that thing explodes when I like drop the hammer on the 50 caliber black powder rifle, like that's still gonna scare the crap out of you. Like
yeah,
that's a big ball flying your way. Like
right, right. So I mean, but there's like so much to it.
yeah.
But I mean, you know, yeah. I dare. But I think okay, I dare somebody to do it. But I think our superpower really comes from the it's the nuclear deterrent that we have. We outnumber nuclear missiles. I think the number is actually 3-1 to the next major one.
Well, and there was reasons for like the space race and all that stuff too. Like
Yeah.
there's, you know, like being able to have assets that can see what's happening before like it would ever arrive. Like all like there's all sorts of stuff behind that. But yeah,
Hmm.
but as far as like perception, like going back to the whole perception talk,
Oh yeah. The
I
perception.
I think that yeah, I I think people know that the
Well,
the
well,
the past 4 years for me, what I if I was looking at perception wise was kind of like if you looked at us as like just as if you took every country and said, hey, every country is like a small group of people now, right?
yeah.
And like they're all gonna work together, whatever. And to me, it was like, hey, like, uh, uh, why can't I think of the name of that? But the circus is in town, and like the
Yeah.
circus is us, right? Like
Right.
let's go watch the circus
Yeah.
for the next like couple of years, you know, like
Yep. Yep.
and bring your popcorn and do whatever you want to do because like nobody's gonna say anything about it,
Yeah.
and and then somebody like fights over like, oh, you spilled your beer on me or whatever, and like Russia, Ukraine, whatever, right? Like all this
Yeah.
other stuff that's going on,
Like
and
like
like and
hold my beer
but
situation.
we're like riding a bear riding a unicycle or whatever, not paying attention. They're like helping. Anyway, so- you like my metaphors?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
anyways, um,
It,
that's what it was, man. It was like it was a little circus going on, and
yeah.
it's like, and then it's like, okay, like the circus is over. It's time for everybody to go home. Like,
It's very true. It's very true. And so like what I like to do though is watch the news on from outside. So
mhm.
like Sky News from Australia.
They're super conservative.
Yes. Yes. But like they freaking make fun of everything. And I
Yeah,
do mean everything
yeah,
that has happened the past 4 years. And they to be fair though, they have made fun of shit that Trump did whenever Trump was in office.
yeah.
Like if you watch the news from outside, you get a totally different perspective of what America looks like to everybody.
But Australia and Canada and like all these other countries, they talk a big game. They like make fun of everybody and all that stuff. But guess what? They're not allowed to have guns, are they?
Yeah. No,
Like
no.
they got all that stuff taken away.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's true. I mean, that's I agree with you on Australia being super conservative, but they're liberal in some senses.
yeah,
So
that well they allowed as a people for certain things to happen that like we just haven't allowed to happen here.
yeah, well, and I don't think we ever will. We have this thing called the Constitution of the United States of America. You guys might have one named after your country, but we have one that's named after ours. I think we were the founding fathers to that. Thank you very much.
Even if
And
you made it go away though, it's so ingrained in the people that
yeah,
like yeah. Guess what? There's this thing in like America called good old boys.
Tea Party, Tea Party. Um, yeah, no, you can't fight it. And see, one of the things. So I talked to a buddy of mine. So I call him Gr. He it's his gamer tag essentially. Um, I've known him, but his actual name is Ed. And Gr was me and him were talking. He goes, it doesn't matter what happens if anybody ever went against the Constitution of the United States of America, the military at that point would become their enemy number one because the military would go back on them and
Mm.
be like, no, that's not how this works. Like you're not going to go against the citizens. You're not going to go against the Constitution. You become a terrorist essentially to America.
Well, even if the military didn't fully turn on them, like they would just abandon the post. And at
Mhm.
that point, like then who's going to be your military?
Yeah,
Like if all your pilots leave, who's going to fly your jets?
yeah, yeah. I
Now
mean,
there's the whole thing you could say, okay, well, those hire people in, right? But um, which I wouldn't put past like some of these actors. But anyways, um,
it's true.
but anyways, yeah. I mean, uh, I, the perception can be like had that we like do some crazy stuff or some funny things, but then like yeah, it's just never gonna like people always know that there's a point or a line in the sand that you don't go over, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And it's just how it is. But I mean, the other thing too, though, is the United States tends to be a very ethnocentric country, and what I
Okay.
mean by that is we believe everything we do is the right way,
That,
and
yes.
that everybody else should follow. You know,
Yep.
but then like when I was studying like Chinese culture and like studying the Chinese language and all that stuff and like all that, like the literal word for China in Chinese means central country, right? Like
Yep.
everything revolves around China. Like that's the way they believed it. Like that's what it was, right? And so
Mhm.
there's a lot of other countries that are very similar,
Yeah.
and I also think there's a lot of what other countries would call like propaganda or whatever. Like I think there's a lot of stuff that's fed to us that's like, oh, like, you know, these other countries are inferior, but
Mhm.
really, I mean, not to downplay the United States or anything, but I think again that comes back from that ethnocentric outlook of like we see other countries as inferior and that they should do it the way that we do it.
Right.
Like,
And there's I could actually I'll point one out. Uh, two of them out really. Uh, I can point out Japan. Like, I'm sorry, America, we are not technologically there yet. All
well,
right.
look at how we completely shut down their navy, right? Completely took it away.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in time, I don't know enough about the politics of when we allowed it, but at some point in time, we let them rebuild, right, to an extent. And they
Yep.
now have a fairly credible navy.
Oh yeah.
And it hasn't been that many years.
No, it
Like
really hasn't.
it hasn't. And their technology is insane.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean,
Well,
like on their
and
ships and stuff. Like,
yeah, but and see, I don't even. I'm not even going to sit here and say that it's all about technology though either. Like, if you look at the level of respect that they have per person,
well, in the work ethics,
yeah, it's insane.
yeah,
It's insane. Like,
it's it's the norm to put in 80+ hour work weeks there.
hmm
That's, I mean, they go to like I don't know. I'd be speaking out of my ass if I said like I know for sure, but um, I mean, it's always been like okay, they go to school like Monday through Saturday. Like I don't know if
hmm
that's still the case or not, but it's the idea behind that though is in the culture, it's just very strong work ethics, right? And that
right.
it's just ingrained.
Yep.
Um, and that's something I think that we've lost here because we feel very entitled to like we deserve our weekends, we deserve our like all this other stuff, right?
Right.
It's a much different like outlook on how we
Well,
should do things. But
if you look at Israel, for instance,
mhm,
where every citizen, unless you are handicapped, you have served in the military. You know how to
mhm,
operate a weapon, and you have a weapon in your house.
yeah,
I, what? Like I think that's to me that first off, I think that's
South Korea's the same way.
yeah, South Korea's the same
Everybody
exact same.
serves.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot
and
of countries where everybody serves.
and I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic idea, but I mean, you can't convince an American to do it. So, like,
I
I'm,
think at some point in time you probably could have. It's just not like right now you couldn't. I think certain generations you could have
mhm,
convinced everybody to say yes to that.
yeah,
Um, but and I think even like when certain things happen, for instance, 9/11, right?
yeah.
Like
Well,
there's
that
a
made
lot of
me join.
people that like joined. There's a lot of people that joined that would never have joined.
Yeah, that
So
actually made me join. Like, I was gone right after that happened.
yeah, I mean, I think because there was a long period of time like they were having a lot of trouble in the late '90s, like filling the branches and stuff. People just
Yep.
weren't like joining, and like people were joining just for school or they were doing things. Like there's just a lot of stuff that's going on, and so you had that because we even talked about it like in like, and again, this is kind of off topic now, but we even talked about it back then of like the uh combat training that we received and stuff, like it was very outdated because the last major combat thing lasted less than a day over in the Gulf. You know what I mean? Like in
Right.
like 1989 or 1990. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it was fast. It was over. Like so. Really, the last major thing that happened was what Vietnam. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like that's the last major war. That's a big gap. You know what I
Right.
mean? Where you don't have people actually like training and in I mean they're training but not actively doing it, right? Like there's a
Right.
lot of things that we learned within the first year of being deployed. You know,
Yeah.
of like how do we make this different and how do we change things and like kind of like and part of that is like the technology that we have now that we didn't have back then, like that changed some of that stuff. But even as far as like urban combat wasn't a thing.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't like that was a big deal. Like shipboard
And they
combat, like
changed it.
that was crazy. Like
Yeah.
learning shipboard combat, like that's a lot of people like to give the Coast Guard shit or whatever. Guess what? Get on a ship that's nothing but steel walls and decide to open fire at something you shouldn't. See how that works for you. Like,
I
good
laugh
luck with
because
that.
I give you so much shit for it,
Good luck
but
with that.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
true.
Shoot that buckshot at that
Yeah.
steel wall over there. See
Yeah.
how that works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah. Picking buckshot out of your ass for a week.
or stack up against that steel wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea. Watch that bullet travel down that wall.
Or
Like
kick in that door.
yeah,
Kick
go
it in.
for it. Kick that
Yeah.
door in. Or the other thing is like, okay, now you got to breach that door. Like, hmm
Yeah.
that's an easy task. So now you've got to take a torch to the freaking hinges, you know, like in order to like get them hot enough to break them. And yeah,
Yeah.
so
I agree.
anyways,
But even
um,
talking about urban combat though, urban combat like that changed. It changed. I want to say three. I think it was 3 or 4 times though.
well, and didn't
Uh,
they change? Why is this? I didn't go through this, but the Green Berets go through it. Is it Green Berets or Rangers that go through it? The very end where you have to go do that like mock where you travel across and it's like actually like military owned land, but you're in civilian like territory as well.
yeah. Yeah.
What
No.
is it
No. No.
called? It's
Uh. Da, 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 da,
why
da.
can't I think of it? Jenny something. It's like
Sh- Uh. God, damn it! I can't think of the.
anyhow, you know what I'm talking. I don't know
Yeah. I
why.
know.
What is
Yeah.
it called? I have
Oh,
to look it up now.
I know. That's what I'm.
Uh,
I'm sitting there like I need to look it up because I don't. Ah, shit. Um.
uh, what is that called? Um, it's during the selection, right? The final stage of selection, ranger selection.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh crap.
is it ranger? Or is what I'm thinking of actual like green beret?
No, it's Green Beret.
Is it green beret? What I'm
Yeah,
thinking of?
that's Green
Okay.
Beret.
Final stage of. Um, why can't I think of that? It's a school you all do. Like you got Robin Sage. There it is.
Robin Sage,
Um,
yes.
so anyways, Robin Sage for a while like had some urban stuff, and I think it was from people that experienced it
Hmm.
in some of the urban combat that they ran across in Vietnam.
Yep.
Um, but that urban environment was much different
Oh yeah.
than multi-story buildings in downtown Iraq. You know what I mean? Like,
It-
or you know what I mean? Like wherever
yep.
you're at, like it's a whole different like atmosphere, right?
It was completely different.
And the training that has to come along with that is like so much different. Anyways, so
Or when they would build like the mock plywood houses, like even that was
mhm,
different because they use standard door like American door sizes
mhm.
for those doorways. And when you go into like when you breach a house over in
Yeah,
Iraq and Afghanistan's.
good luck getting through some of those doors with your full kit on.
Yeah, no shit. Like it's not standard door sizes. Like you can't.
These things are built for midgets in some of those doors. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a fact.
I don't. You know how many people I know that got concussions in the first month they're there because they're hitting their head on all the
hitting
doors.
their heads on the doorways. Yes. Yeah.
Because they're like going full speed ahead and they'd like slam their head onto the doorway. Yeah.
With their Kevlar.
Well, because they wouldn't have the inner mesh set properly in the Kevlar, and so they would just strike the top of their head on their Kevlar or whatever.
Yep.
You know that the band that you sit like Kevlar sits on, and if you don't have the laces tightened up properly, not laces, but the I always call them bands, but
the band.
I guess they're a band. Anyways, if you don't have those tightened down or whatever, it gives too much like leeway.
Yeah.
And it'll bounce and hit you. Even if you're on a vehicle and you're driving fast and you hit, like it'll bounce and hit the top of your head. Anyways, guys are hitting the top of their heads. And like that's the other thing too, that shipboard combat. We had guys falling through the decks on ships because they were so rotted out.
Wow.
Like we go do a non-compliant shipboarding, like and you have no idea what you're getting on. Like they obviously don't want to stop for us, so we're forcefully shutting this thing down, right? And we ended up having to do what we learned in cold weather sear. So in cold weather sear, you learn to tie off to each other, you daisy chain each other in case somebody goes through the snow. Right. So that way the whole team doesn't go, like, so that way the person gets caught or whatever by the rest of the team, because you all fall and catch them. Well, we started daisy chaining on the ships because guys were falling through the decks because they're so like rusted out. Like and you're talking 100-foot drops into some of those like barges. I mean, that's a death sentence. Like, yeah. And then on top of that too, like some of them were filled with chemicals and like all, like whatever it was, like, you know, they had a bunch of SEALs that would, like, they had a large team of very highly trained people like die instantly because they fell into like chemicals and stuff. Like nobody knew that it was like nobody had done it before, you know. And so, and then you're like, okay, like before I go on the ship, like what does the cross members look like? And so now you get on there, you're like literally walking where you think the steel structure is, so like underneath your footing, so that way you're not walking where the plates are because you don't want to fall through the plates, right? So anyways, yeah, the training was much different. Where were we going with that though?
You know, I think we've been off topic for a minute now.
It was the perception, I guess.
Oh yeah, well, like
is where we started with everything. Yeah. But so anyways,
we went on a whole squirrel moment together this time.
But the perception, there's two folds to that perception. There's an outside perception that people like to talk a big game. It's kind of like the best metaphor I have for it. It's kind of like you're in high school and if you're one of those people that grew up that like doesn't take shit, you like there's a time and place, or a period in time not too long ago, that if you walked up to somebody and said something that they didn't like, you'd get hit, right? Like this is how it was. Yeah. And there would be that like perception of like, oh, this person is this way, and people would talk about them when they're not there, but they would never say it to the person's face.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so like certain things would happen, or if you didn't show up to a party or whatever, well then something might be said or whatever about you or whatever, but it would never happen while you're at the party, right?
Right.
That same thing happens with the US, right? Like people talk a lot of shit. But they talk a big game, but they don't ever act on the actions they say they're gonna act on, right? Yeah. Like, so I guess that's the way I mean, but like the perception is twofold. Yeah. They understand like a perception of like, look how crazy they're acting, but there's also a perception of only poke the bear so much. You know what I mean? Like, because you know, like the third poke's gonna like do you in. You're like, whatever that is, right? You know, like, yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going with that.
Like only poke them a couple of times and then like walk away.
Yep.
Like it's like, okay, well, there's that behind it. Anyways, that perception still exists where they know that you can only f around and find out so much, you know.
Right.
But
Yep. No, that's a fair.
it is annoying though. Like when you've purposely gone out to help build that perception. Like you've done things for the United States to help build the perception,
Yeah.
and then it gets completely like destroyed instantly
Yeah.
by people that have never served their country that way before. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and they're just making decisions to line their pockets.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I think pisses a lot of us off. But
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Like that's why I would really like to see uh more service members
mm,
actually try to run for presidency. I would love to actually see that.
I think the Congress people should live on base housing.
Yeah.
Put them in townhomes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And and make sure that they get like no more than like a what E6, E7 pay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
It They should get paid enough to not have to worry about not being able to afford basic necessities or whatever.
Yep.
But it shouldn't be a place you go to get rich.
Right. Exactly.
Like you should be there because you want to be there,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
because you know you're going to get money off of
Yep.
it. But and that's from the discussions that have been had, and we'll see if it ever happens because there's been plenty of people who have said that they're going to do term limits and all that stuff. But like
Yeah.
supposedly that's on the table again.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and
but
to be fair, it should be. It
yeah,
should be on the table.
there's no
And
reason that like not only should it be on the table, but it should also be merit based.
right.
Like you should only be in that position long enough to actually be doing your job properly.
Right. But
Like,
did you see like okay, they did a poll though recently that 79% of America like or 79% of the people that actually took this poll actually stated that they feel like America is on the wrong track. That it's going down the wrong path.
mm,
And I was like, that says a lot. That says a lot. Like just listen to what the American people have to say because that's realistically the whole point of the government for the American government. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say I know politics around the world because I'm not that person. Like I'm not that guy. But for the American government, our government is there for. They're supposed to serve the people. The
mm.
people, like meaning the Americans, are supposed to control what happens within government. It's never supposed to be the other way around. But since I've been alive, since I should really change my verbiage on this. Since I've understood it, I've not seen it that quite that way. I've seen it
Mm.
the other way around, where I feel like the government is actually doing for itself, not for the American people.
Yeah, and I think the strong points that you see behind that are people that have legally immigrated to this country
Hmm.
from places that have made the decisions that we're making now, but they made those decisions 40, 50 years ago, and
Yeah.
their country's in a position that they immigrated out of on purpose.
Right.
Like North Korea being one of those.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a couple of like YouTubers that are really well known now that are like, hey, like the decisions you're making right now were decisions that were made a long time ago
Hmm.
in the country that I left, and like look at it now.
Yeah.
Like like, and there's been a lot of talks about that. Like and again, like I don't know a ton about politics. And I don't even know a ton about politics in the U.S. Like I know enough, but not a ton. And um, the the fact that somebody would state that's here now and says like what you have right now is amazing, but the decisions that you're making are it reminds me of having the discussion with like your teenage kid. Like your intentions were good, but your actions were poor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like
Like it's been tried before.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
do it
yeah,
again.
yeah. So like the intention that you had, like of trying to like help somebody out or whatever, was a great idea, but the overall like output of what you're doing
Yeah.
like is not great, you know. And so which would be like, oh, I helped this person, but I had to like not go to class or whatever on final day, you know, like, or something crazy like that,
See,
right? Like
I feel like I I can agree with this, but see, I think it goes much further than that because I feel like I have that same discussion with my daughter.
well, yeah.
Yeah, like, at 7 years old, I'm like, "I've already tried what you've done when I was your age, like, don't do it." Like, I know what you're
Well, and I know like some of us have to like some of us are just wired to have to find out things the hard way,
Yeah,
but um but either way, it's like, yeah, it's stepping back and saying, okay, look, like just just look at what's happened in countries where they were like full on socialist or full
right,
on communist or full on like it it doesn't normally end well ever. Like I
right,
don't know of any time that it's ended well for those situations, right? Like you could argue that a lot of people are happy in China. I think China is big enough, you know, where like
mhm,
and also they don't know any different, but
yeah,
it's big enough and they're doing enough business around the world and stuff. They have to abide by like some of the outside of China rules and all that stuff. So like it's definitely become a lot more westernized than it used to be.
right,
But um, but uh, it's still like you can go to prison for life there because you didn't pay your taxes.
yeah, but, yeah, you can also go to
Uh,
prison for life
and when
there.
I say pay your taxes, like you didn't pay enough to the local like political group, whatever, because you made a certain millions of dollars off your business or whatever, and you didn't give them a certain percentage of it. It's almost like a shakedown from the mob. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, and so that exists still there.
yeah,
So
or if you talk against your government, then you can actually
sure,
go yeah, you can
yeah,
go to prison
yeah.
for that too.
Um, so, anyways, there's a lot of stuff that exists in other countries that like we have it good here,
Yeah,
but some of the decisions that we've made recently have uh, very poor outcomes in the long run.
yep,
Like
I can see that.
it could definitely turn bad, um, especially if you go down the route of take away the guns. Because one, you're gonna knock down a beehive that you don't want to knock, or a hornet's nest you don't want to knock down in the first place. But two, even if you successfully did it, well, there goes like your defense plan.
Yeah,
Like
right,
you know what I mean? Like
right,
great. Like hopefully everybody has plenty of stones on their property or whatever they can throw at whoever's coming at them with guns. Like I
yeah.
don't know what you expect at that point, but anyways, so
So s so I'm gonna touch base on this really quick, and then we'll wrap it up. But,
mm,
there was a meme that I saw, not too long ago, and I'm trying to see if I can find it really quick. But it's somebody's house, right?
mhm.
And the wording on it is essentially along the lines of, um, so the wording where's it at? I have it on here. Da, 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 'cause I actually just sent it to somebody recently too. Uh, here it is. Liberals, the Second Amendment doesn't apply to modern weapons. Me, and I would say I'd probably do some shit like this too, right? Okay, we'll do this your way. And what it is it's a house with a pirate flag on the side of it and ball cannons out the
Nice.
windows. Yeah. I was like, this is perfect.
Some grape shot.
Yeah. I, I was like, this is great. This is some shit I would actually do, like for real. Like,
See, in the South, they'd be rolling around in like an F-350 with one of those like mini cannons on the
yeah,
top, like
yeah,
yeah, and the whole bed's just full of balls.
yeah. Exactly. I'm like, yes, yes, let's
It's
do it.
I
Let's
could
take it
see
back.
that like it'd be like a those the 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 standard Southern pickup truck that has like the toolbox in the
Yep,
back or whatever. So you'd have a bunch of cannonballs, and then the toolbox would be full of gunpowder,
yep.
like that you could throw in the cannon and pack down and fire
Yeah.
out of the. So that
Like I could totally see a bunch of us rednecks just doing some shit like that. Like that'd be hilarious.
hey man, if we can make a pool in front of our house out of a tarp and a shovel, then yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And honestly, nowadays I wouldn't be too surprised to actually see somebody do it with like what is that rubber spray paint?
Oh,
Uh,
Flex Seal.
Yeah, Flex Seal.
I was watching a group of tornado chasers,
Uh-huh.
and they're sponsored by them, and they literally sealed like the vehicle that goes inside the tornadoes or whatever is sealed with Flex Seal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's that's awesome.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I could
yeah.
I
I
would
I saw I saw a meme, and it was kind of distasteful or whatever because right before Milton hit, it was a meme about like Milton coming or whatever,
right.
and it's like, okay, get your Florida houses ready, and it showed that picture of the guy that was like, uh, he was using his screen door as a boat because he
Yeah.
used Flex Seal on it, and like, it's like, all right, get your Florida houses ready, just Flex Seal all of your screen doors so you can float away. Like,
Right. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like that, we would do some stuff like that. We're us Southerners. We're crazy. We're
yeah,
crazy.
why not, man?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have any gators to go wading, just Flex Seal your jeans shut.
Yeah, right. Yep,
You're good to go.
it's true.
It'd be
I
like
never
that
thought
squeak.
about it, but I actually think I might try this now.
It'd be like that squeaky stuff you have in your closet from Hot
Yeah.
Topic. Full circle, buddy.
Full circle. I was about to say that. Oh man. Oh, all right. All right. Well, I think
There's a reason we have two other people that join. Okay.
yeah, right, right, exactly. So,
I'm a bad
uh,
influence.
yeah, I I think I'm the worst one of them all.
Too many
That's so.
shiny objects and squirrel moments.
Oh man, I always have those moments though. Like that's the thing. I'm about to go off on another one. Anyways, let's wrap it up though. Let's wrap it up. So, uh, I'm gonna end it my way tonight. If you are a veteran and if you haven't gotten your benefits, go get your benefits. All right. It's important. That's numero uno. You need to go take care of yourself. Even if you say that you don't have a problem right now, I guarantee you at some point you're gonna have a problem. So go get yourself get yourself into a VA, get yourself checked out, and get your benefits. Get what's owed to you. All right. Um, Second thing, if you are a veteran and you are suffering from PTSD or you are thinking of unaliving yourself, don't do it. It's not worth it. Contact, you know, me, contact Psych Ward. You can contact Daddy Bro 72, Super Wolf Leo. You can contact any of us, uh, and we will be more than happy to talk to you. Um, if you can't get a hold of us, 988 press 1. They will help you out. All right. I don't care if you're a veteran, first responder. I don't even care if you're a civilian. Just dial the number. All right. It doesn't matter at this point. Uh, don't do it though. All right. Um, and really, I just take care of
Yeah,
yourself. You know,
go read about Vecna.
Vecna.
You do
Yeah.
not want to be like Vecna, so don't do
Yeah.
it.
Don't do it. Don't. It's not.
It's not
Please.
worth it. You don't
Yeah.
want to be Vecna.
Please don't. It's no.
Sorry, graveyard
That is,
humor.
I don't even. It's awful. It's a terrible, terrible time. Speaking of Vecna, you know he's actually in Dead by Daylight.
I want to run a campaign with Vecna. I want to play like one of the modules with Vecna. It'd be fun.
Oh, dude, it'd be so much fun.
Timmy
But
would be good at one of those.
yeah, Timmy. Yeah.
See what Vecna thinks of Timmy.
Me and my dark humor though, like I would have too much fun with it. But anyways, all right, let's get off here. You guys have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend. If I don't see you guys tomorrow, do come back tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be live streaming from the For the Love of Veterans car show. I think actually both of us will be there, right? You're coming as well?
I'll be there. Yeah, I'm going to be working on some of the business side of stuff, but I'll be there.
Fantastic. So, and I'm all fuzzy again. I look better. Woo! Squeaky, squeaky. Did that work? No, maybe. Yes, it did. Oh, I figured it out. So you guys are going to see my pretty face all the time. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful one. Psych ward. I'll see you mañana, my friend.
All right, guys. Have a good one.